I'm here. Yeah. Number.
Your father wants to talk as well.
Welcome back to Time Served, the channel that's going to talk so you don't have to. When you're in front of Judge Boyd in the 187, please do yourself a favor and be honest. Time and time again, we see these dopes feel as though the truth will not set you free as they twist and turn the truth, and today is no exception. Let's watch Mr. Bella, whatever, insists on lying and finds herself smack dab in the middle of not only revocation, but a friendly knock on the door from CPS. Just wait till you hear her daily concoction of quote-unquote medication. I've been asking you all to comment where you can, and I appreciate it, so please keep that up. Check out the latest from the channel here. Like and subscribe. Set your notifications to all. Let's roll, nerds.
Judge.
Defense.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Robledo, any objections to us proceeding by video?
No, ma'am.
All right. So my understanding, there was an agreement that was reached with regards to sentencing. The range of punishment on this case, based upon the plea, is up to 1 year in the Bexar County Jail. So was there an agreement?
There is, Judge.
There is, Your
Yes.
Honor. I'm just trying to do is I'm trying to get solidified the time credit she has, and she claims she has 276 days. I sent an email out to the
Yes, she has a total of 60 days according to the clerks.
60 days.
Yes.
Okay, and I believe that Hunter was in that our agreement that she was going to do 60 days.
Yes, that is the agreement, Judge. Revocation and sentencing for 60 days in the Bexar County Jail.
So I believe, Judge, this probably would be a judgment satisfied, especially in light of her grandfather dying, and she's the sole provider of her 7-year-old and 8-year-old niece and nephew.
Well, let me ask you this. If she's drug tested today, what are the results going to be?
I don't know.
Mr. Robledo, if you're drug tested today, what are the results going to be? And know that I can have you drug tested today.
It will be negative, ma'am. I have really changed my ways. I had to grow up very fast, and I was living recklessly, but I do apologize, and those were my issues. But
No problem. Rebecca, can you get someone to drug test her?
Maybe we make this short. Just be honest with the court. Valencia, when's the last time you had used
We can pull up place or not. Just 1 second. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Mr. Robledo, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand and state your name for the record, please.
Valencia Robello.
Valencia?
Hey, Vince.
Sorry, Judge. My apologies. Valencia, candor and truthfulness is a big factor in this court. So I'm going to ask you a question, and the question is this. When was the last, I know that you told me in the past that you had smoked marijuana.
Yes.
And so I want you to tell the court, when was the last time you smoked marijuana?
It's been about, honestly, 3 days.
30 days or 3 days?
3 days.
3 days. Okay. So if you were to be tested today, would you be tested negative or positive? Because knowing that, I don't know if you know this, but marijuana stays in your system for more than 3 days.
Oh, I would test positive. That is the truth.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness.
Any questions, Mr. Morris?
Hi, Mr. Bello. I'm Hunter Morris. Are there any other drugs that you have used within the past 30 days that could show up on a drug test today?
Well, I took some Vicodin and a Xanax, but that's about all the drugs that I've done, and it was the bare minimum. I mean, that's the truth. I don't want to lie to the court.
I'll pass witness, Judge.
On a daily basis, I consume enough drugs to sedate Manhattan, Long Island, and Queens.
Are all these prescription medications prescribed to you?
No, not as of current. I don't have any health insurance, and then when I went to jail and got out, it's just a lot to take on, and I know that's not an excuse.
Mr. Sarkwanowicz, so your client is telling me she wants to be honest with the court and she doesn't want to be dishonest, but we started off with, I'm going to be negative. Now it's turned to, I'm going to be positive for marijuana. And now it's turned to, no, Vicodin and Xanax.
Well, Your Honor, I understand that, Judge, but there's some mitigating circumstances. And either whether she can afford or not afford healthcare is one thing. I believe that when we were here last time, I believe her grandfather had passed away. And what was the date when your grandfather passed away, Ms. Rebello?
On the 26th of July.
July. And so I think the fact is.
No, excuse me. Somebody who she brought with her in the background just said it was June and not July.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 6/26 was the date my grandfather passed, but we didn't have the funeral until the 19th of July. Yes, because Fort Sam was backed up.
And to be specific, Judge, my question to her was not the use of drugs. My question to her was very specific. It was the use of marijuana. That was what I was under the impression of. I still think that she has exhibited full candor with the court. She has not dodged the court's questions. She hasn't gone down the rabbit trail for 15 minutes trying to suggest other excuses why.
I asked your client if she was going to be positive for drugs.
I understand.
Marijuana is a drug, and she said no.
Right, I understand that, Judge, but at the same time, I know the drug stays in your system for more than 3 days or more than 30 days. And so she may have not been aware of that, Judge. But the fact is, after I told her about that, she admitted to you that she would test positive.
And then, so what I have before me is a person who's saying that she's taking care of her aunt, and didn't she say she was taking care of her child as well?
It's not her
did
child.
I hear that improperly?
It's Ms. Rebello, is it not true you are taking care of your 8-year-old niece and your 7-year-old nephew, or you're helping to be a caregiver for them? Can you explain to the court what role are you playing with them?
Well, I am the sole provider now. My grandfather left everything to me, so I have to now, take care of the house inside and out and the kids. And like I said, I'm sorry, Judge. I wasn't really realizing how long they stay in your system, but I really am trying. I haven't picked up any new cases. I have been working at Educare since early November of 2020. Steady employment. I'm doing the best that I can, and I will continue to. If you could just please, I just don't want this hanging over my head anymore.
Well, I don't understand why she is being allowed to take care of a 7-year-old and 8-year-old, and she's using marijuana, Xanax, and Vicodin. Somebody explain that to me. How is that appropriate? How does a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old does not deserve somebody who's not using marijuana, Vicodin, and Xanax? I mean, where is this going? Is there anyone on this screen today who would want this defendant to babysit their child knowing what they now know? Raise your hand if somebody would want this person. All right, then somebody call CPS. Does anybody want someone who's using marijuana, Vicodin and Xanax to be in charge of a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old?
No. No, me either.
Your Honor,
I mean, I find that very concerning because she's saying what she says. It's honestly, it's neither here nor there. If I give her 60 days, judgment satisfied, and she walks out of this courtroom, let me just tell you what happens. One, she's no longer on probation. She can use as much Vicodin, Xanax, and marijuana as she wants. And she's telling me that she's in charge of a 6-year-old, 7-year-old. And then I'm assuming I'm supposed to feel sympathetic, which I do. I empathize and I feel sympathy for people who've lost their loved ones. But she's lost someone in her life, which is devastating. So now I have someone before me who has 2 children that she's the sole caretaker of. That's what she said. She's the sole provider. I have somebody who's using drugs. Her relative died in June. So we do know, based upon her testimony, that she actually used drugs at least 3 days ago. I don't know if that happened in the home where the children are or not.
No, ma'am.
All I know is she's the sole provider for a 7-year-old, 8-year-old using drugs. And I'm supposed to allow her to go out in the world free from any type of supervision to take care of a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old where she's using drugs.
Your Honor, at this juncture, I'd like to do is call her sister, which she's sitting in the back as a witness to Ms. Rubello's ability to be the caregiver and the circumstances regarding her becoming the caregiver of the niece and nephew.
Sure. Have the sister come up, please. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record, please.
My name is Sasha Beckett.
All right, and I'm gonna need you to speak up.
My name is Sasha Beckett.
Spell your last name, please.
It is Beckett.
And spell your first name.
It is Sasha.
All right, defense.
Okay, Ms. Beckett, you've heard the testimony of Ms. Rubello and you've heard the concerns of Judge Boyd here today, have you?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and then so what is your observation? She mentioned, that is Ms. Rubello mentioned that she had taken Vicodin and I believe it was Xanax. And do you know whether she had any prescriptions into those drugs previously?
Previously, yes, she has. My sister's been in numerous car accidents. She does have herniated disc in the lower and the upper, the lower lumbar as well as the upper. Now, she does not have medical insurance. I was trying to get her on mine, but you know, I'm not able to, not in the state of California, no. Now she hasn't worked long enough for her medical benefits to take effect. But my sister's not my sister's not an addict. Is she in pain? Yes. And I see it like the whole time I've been here. I mean, like cringing in her bed from the pain.
Well, Ms. Beckett, can you tell the court in terms of whether or not the passing of the grandfather has been a stressful experience for the family?
It has been beyond stressful. More so to Valencia because our grandfather raised Valencia. Like that is, you know, I had a dad. And our mom was around, but she wasn't around. And my grandfather has been Valencia's mom and dad all her life. And she has taken care of him, you know, for 5 years. And, you know, he has other kids. And then, you know, he has some grandkids, but no one
Yeah,
has
so Miss
been there for him like
Yeah.
Valencia was.
Miss Beckett, let me interrupt you just for a second. Could you tell the court, how did your grandfather end up with the 8-year-old and 7-year-old niece and nephew?
It was due to the passing of our oldest brother.
And how long had he taken care of them?
Since 2 and 3. And he had just finished having open heart surgery, 2 of them back to back, because the hospital messed up on the first one and they had to go back in and redo it again. And Valencia was the only person there, you know, and it's not right because we as a family should have came together at that time, but for you know, different circumstances,
Right. So
you know,
Miss
we weren't
Beckett,
able to be there.
Miss Beckett, where do you reside?
I reside in California, Costa Mesa.
California? Okay, so are you here just to visit for the funeral?
Yes, and I'm just trying to, you know, kind of help Valencia get everything into perspective. But yes, my life is in California.
Okay.
Valencia is
And-
really just here by herself. We have an elderly aunt that also stays in my grandfather's home that Valencia also cares for.
So Miss Beckett, prior to your grandfather passing, the household consisted of your grandfather. I'm sorry, what was his name?
His name was Lawrence Rebello.
So the household consisted of Lawrence Rebello, correct?
Yes.
And then Valencia Rebello, that's her
Uh-huh.
dad, correct?
No, that's my grandfather.
That's grandfather. I'm sorry, your grandfather, her grandfather.
Uh-huh.
And what are the names of the two children?
It is Serena and Dominic.
And Dominic. And so the household consisted of the 4 of them. Is that correct?
Yes.
So on the
I'm sorry, it's 5 because my elderly aunt is there.
okay. So is your elderly aunt in the household now?
She is in the household now.
And how old is she?
66.
And so what role did she play in being a caregiver for Serena and Dominic?
She doesn't. She's just, honestly, she's just there. She's a very, very, very selfish, very mean lady.
Okay, well, I just want to know it's not what her personality is. I'm just
sorry.
asking. I'm just asking.
She doesn't care for them.
Yeah. And do you have personal knowledge that she has never taken or participated in the caretaking of Serena and Dominic?
From my knowledge, no.
And so do you think that Serena, this is not about Serena and Dominic, but whether the judge should allow Valencia to have a judgment satisfied in this case because of the nature of her drug use. And so what you're saying is that she had prior prescriptions for Vicodin for her back and for Xanax, correct?
Yes, and then the Vicodin was like, they even had to up her for her pain medication, as
Okay.
well as I think it was muscle relaxers that they had given her.
Okay. But so the use of the medications is related to physical injuries and stress.
Yes.
Okay. And so to your point, other than those three things we talked about, the marijuana, the Vicodin, and the Xanax, can you tell the court whether you have ever seen Ms. Rebello use any other drugs or consume any of the drugs?
No, I have not. And not
for-
since my time being down here.
Okay. And how long have you known Ms. Rebello?
All my life.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Are any questions, State?
Just a few, Judge. Hi, Ms. Beckett.
Hello.
So I understand you to be saying that Ms. Rebello is the only person that is actively taking care of Serena and Dominic. Is that right?
Yes.
And I do empathize with Ms. Rebello and her pain, but when the pain gets to be unbearable, who else is there to watch these children when she has to deal with the pain in whichever way she chooses to do so?
You know what? There's no one. Like I said, I'm down here now, helping her put things into perspective and into place. But by far is Valencia an irresponsible caregiver. And I mean, I wish I was able to bring the kids in here to, to speak on her behalf, because she takes great care of them.
I understand, Ms. Beckett. My question is, if Ms. Rebello is under the influence of some substance to deal with this pain, who else is there to watch these children?
It would probably be, a family friend, or, myself as of right now.
But you live in California?
Yes. But, I would have to do what I have to do, for them as well as for Valencia.
I understand. Thank you. Pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, this is what the court is going to do. The court has denied the motion. The court is going to alter and amend conditions to include random UAs, parenting classes, and there's to be no employment as a home healthcare provider or employment with minor children. Is there anything else from either side?
I think from the state, Judge.
I'm sorry, Judge, can you repeat that so I can get this down?
Yeah, Barbara. I'm denying the motion. I'm altering and amending conditions to include random UAs, parenting classes, no employment as a home healthcare provider or with minor children. And Rebecca, I'm going to want a UA today so she can be tested for levels.
Okay, so parenting classes and UAs,
Yes.
testing today. And motion.
And Ms. Robledo, those levels need to start dropping. Do you understand? So there's to be no more drug use. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then she will be continued on her, because I think she was on 2 years.
Yes. No, she's on regular probation.
Regular probation, I'm sorry.
All right, with that, I'm going to close the record. Ms. Robledo, to the courtroom. If you could go to breakout room number 2.
Yes, Judge.
And they'll go over conditions with you.